Good morning, garden friends. It's early in the morning, and I'm here in the herb garden. The sun has just come up over the trees, so I'm starting to squint already. Today, I thought I'd take you on a little wander through um, the herb garden and into the shade garden, and do a little weeding and checking out what's going on in both these spaces. There's a little surprise in the shade garden that I definitely want to show you. Um, so we'll wander that way in a minute. But to begin with, I want to show you what's happening here in the herb garden. I can definitely tell it's late summer in the herb garden. Things have really matured and filled in and are starting to go over a little bit in some spots. We'll start here with the big pot in the corner. This is still going. The zinnias are still blooming. And despite the heat, I've had to keep up on watering this pot quite a bit because it's been so hot. The little bumblebee still kind of sleeping in the cool of the morning. The dill has flowered and is actually setting seed right now. I have yet to see any swallowtail caterpillars in the dill, which is unusual. At this time of year, I usually see a few. Parsley is still looking amazing. And the borage has gotten so big, it's starting to flop a little bit. And it's flopped over onto the sage, which is, it should be fine, hopefully. Bumblebees are still going crazy in this garden. So I can get a shot there. That bumble. And even on the phenomenal lavender, although the flowers are almost done, the bees are still finding flowers to visit. The sage area here has been a bit overshadowed by the oregano and the marjoram, but they're holding their own. This pineapple sage right here is really huge, but it hasn't flowered since I first planted it. It came from the nursery with a couple of flowers, and it hasn't flowered since. Not sure why. Oh, I see something here. Hang on. I love this. So I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little frog hiding in the sage leaves. Hi, Froggy. Oh, he's so cute. All right. So the daylilies are almost done, and I'm going to be cutting these stalks back probably today. But they were really prolific this year. There's still one or two blooms left to happen, but for the most part, they're done for the year. It's always sad when the daylilies are done, because then you know summer is coming to an end. But these clumps are fairly big. Pardon my shadow in the picture. I'm fighting an east-facing sun here, coming from the east. So these clumps are pretty huge. I should probably divide them this fall and shrink them down a little bit. We'll see how that works out. So coming to the path, I had to hack back the marjoram as well as the oregano, which I did earlier. But the marjoram was flopping all over the pathway, and we couldn't get to the water without rubbing our legs through the marjoram and bumping into bees, which made them very upset. So I hacked it back a little bit, and I'll probably cut it back even further now that the flowers are starting to go over. More dill. Again, no swallowtail caterpillars. And despite having cut back the oregano once already to open up the golden oregano, golden oregano and the purple sage, it's again flopped over. So I will have to give that a hack at some point soon here. I'm going to swing around. Look at the middle here. let me take you around back here. You can see the mint is going crazy. I let the mint go to flower again for the bees. Oh, and a rogue Verbena bonariensis popping up here from last year. I've pulled out thousands of seedlings this spring, and they're still popping up all over the place. Here's the African blue basil in flower. The bees have just been all over this. I need to give it all the basil actually needs a huge trim back here. See, that's all in flower, looking very lush. Parsley still looking really good. A few dill popping up here. And in the background, you can see these morning glories just clamoring all over the place. Actually, one down here in the parsley. I need to pull that up and kind of direct it toward the house. But they're just so pretty. So I let them roam. Lemon corner looking very nice. This is lemon verbena. A little bit of insect damage here. And then the lemon balm, lemon basil, all looking very, very lush. The catnip has gone crazy. I've been hacking out chunks of it to hang up to dry for my cats. All right, let me swing around here without making you all dizzy. So the center portion of the herb garden is really full. The lemongrass, this lemongrass actually has really taken off. That's got to be, I want to say almost 4 feet high, 3.5, 4 feet tall at this point. And we have solid basil all the way around, all in flower. So I need to, again, hack that back again. Look at how pretty this cinnamon basil is. Isn't that gorgeous? And next to it is the Thai basil. Very subtle difference, but both very pretty. And the borage is very tall at this point. Walk around here. Some Japanese beetles gotten into the borage. I'll have to deal with those later. The chocolate morning glory plants have been climbing up this trellis here. These variegated leaves, aren't they pretty? So pretty. But I haven't seen any flowers yet. So still holding out hope that we might get some flowers on these before frost. We'll see. And check out these portulaca. Aren't they just insane? All of these from seed that just self-sowed. And every year they come back. Lovely. So we'll leave the herb garden and take a walk across the front. Oh, one last thing. The garlic chives are getting ready to blossom. So in the next week, there's the regular chives. So that'll be fun. So let's walk across the front yard here. See my shadow. Past the little lavender border that desperately needs cleaning up and cutting back. I was going to cut these all back, but then they decided to have a second flush of bloom. So pretty. All right, let's wander over to the shade garden. See what's going on here. Yeah, we definitely need some weeding in here. Ooh, get into the shade. All right, see a bunch of weeds down here. I'm gonna take care of those. I'm going to take you around front of this border so you can kind of get the full perspective. What I saw yesterday when I walked around, I actually haven't been in this border probably about a week, and it's starting to show the effects of a hot, dry summer. If you can see this, this is Sun King Aurelia that is just disintegrating. Now these die back to the ground every year, and so I expect it to start dying back, but it looks like it's dying back much earlier than its counterpart over here. This one is just magnificent. Look at that. So clearly this is under some sort of distress. And my guess is this whole area here is directly underneath this maple. And we haven't had any rain. So I can tell the hostas are kind of wilting a little bit. Everything's looking just a bit tired. I'll show you those in a minute. So I don't expect this is going to recover this year. It'll just probably continue to die to the ground and be done. What I'm going to do is I need to, as you can see the big weed in the middle here, I need to kind of get in here and pull out some weeds and get rid of the foxgloves that have gone to seed and kind of clean the bed up a little bit. Chop off some of these spent hosta flowers, kind of give it a general tidy, and then I'll go talk to you about that little surprise in the back. This massive weed. Generally this bed isn't too weedy, but we do have the occasional outbreak of crabgrass and assorted other weeds. I'll set in my bucket. I'm going to cut these hosta flowers off here. They're pretty much done, and it'll just make them look a lot more tidy. Highlight the foliage a little better in the last few weeks of good hosta foliage. Stuff will really start to look a little tired in a couple of weeks. And like I said before, we haven't had any rain in a couple of weeks, and it's been really hot. And after such a wet, cool spring, it's kind of a shock. But the gardens are really starting to suffer. I don't, as a general rule, do a lot of supplemental watering in my perennial gardens. I kind of, let them be, and, stuff survives, great. If it starts to look a little tattered or struggles a little bit, then maybe I move on to something else. Mainly because we are on a well and don't have a lot of extra water to use in the gardens. So I try to be very careful with our water usage. So these are old foxgloves. I'm just going to rip them up. They've scattered whatever seed they're going to scatter. So I can just take these out right at the base, the whole plant, because that plant is done. I get that in my bucket. And that leaves kind of a space here that I need to fill for next year. Some sort of perennial here. Not sure what yet. I've actually been thinking about this area quite a bit because it does seem to struggle. I have a Carangiosoma here, yellow wax bells. I also have, in amongst the weeds, I have a variegated Solomon seal that is also struggling. And I've noticed the hostas here don't seem to do all that well. So I really think it's this tree. And obviously I want to keep the tree. So I'm thinking about putting something here that maybe an art piece or something here that won't have to battle the tree for water. All right, I have a few more foxgloves to rip up here. Oops. As I struggle with the clippers. Chuck that out. I'm also going to take these hosta flowers down. They're pretty much done. There's still a few hostas here that have some nice flowers yet to come. So I'll leave those. The hummingbirds and the bumblebees definitely like these. Take these off. It's so nice to come into a garden and just do a few little chores and have it look so much nicer. All right, pull this out. See if this one comes out willingly. Moving over just a little bit. I'm gonna take these hosta flowers out. This hosta here is almost ready for division if I wanted. Got a couple of foxgloves here that are done. And then this Roseanne geranium needs a big haircut. She's just sort of sprawled out everywhere, pretty much done blooming for the summer. So I'm going to get in here and chop her up a little bit. It is always a little sad this time of year when you start to see that the garden is fading and, you know, leaves are dying. It's getting to be closer to fall, even though it's only mid-August. We're in New Hampshire and winter comes quick. So yeah, getting ready. Let me just hack some of this back. I'm not going to take it all the way to the ground. I'm just going to clean up all this extra foliage that has spread out over other plants. Covered the lady's mantle in here. Oh, and another weed. Get that out. Once we have our first frosts and this foliage dies back a little more, I will probably take it down to about 6 inches and leave it there for the winter. For now, I just want to tidy things up. Make it seem a little more manageable. Weed. Stick from the maple. Even though we had the maple trimmed this spring, it still likes to spit little branches down on the garden. Although much fewer than before we had it trimmed, but all right. Don't have to be too precious about how we trim that. Well, that's looking a little bit better. I'll also take off these hosta flowers as well as these. Clean that up and make this section look a little neater. The sun is really strong this early in the morning. Let's come over here and take a look at some things. Japanese painted fern that is really struggling with the dry weather we've had. I'll get in and clean that up a little bit. And then this Brunnera needs a little bit of a haircut, as well as these Tiarella. These are almost done, so I'll clean that up a little bit too. And you can see we've got some bleeding hearts. This one hasn't quite died back completely, but most of them die back to the ground this time of year. Actually have another seedling that probably relocate somewhere else. And then this Jacob's ladder is looking a bit tattered, so we'll cut that back. But before we do, let me show you the naked ladies. I'll put the name down on the screen below, but in the spring, I showed you when the daffodils were blooming, I showed you the strappy leaves, almost amaryllis-like leaves that were up above ground with the daffodil foliage, and explained how these lilies work. They put up their foliage in the spring, and you see, and then the foliage dies back, and you see nothing for the rest of the summer. And then at some point toward fall, usually mid-late August, so it's middle of August right now, all of a sudden these stalks pop up and burst into flower. And they are just the most delightful things. Look at how gorgeous these are. These just opened. I walked by this garden, 2 days ago, and saw the stalks up, but they hadn't opened yet. And I knew I had to get in here and do a video and show you these. These came with the house. They were in this spot roughly when we bought the house. And I have spread them around a little bit. They haven't multiplied all that much, maybe a little bit, in the 10 years we've owned the place. So they're definitely slow to multiply, at least here. But they are so worth it. It's just such a lovely surprise in late summer when things are starting to look a bit tattered, and all of a sudden you have this burst of happiness come out of the ground, out of nowhere. Just lovely. And you can see they're at the base, the stems are totally naked, no leaves, which is why they have the name Naked Ladies. Just lovely. Oh, and I just noticed a couple more over here popping up. This is what they look like when they first come out of the ground. So pretty. Because these are so pretty, I don't want all of this dead and dying stuff to distract from them. So I'm going to give all this a nice haircut, get it cleaned up, and, looking a little tidy so that you see this and not all of the dead and dying foliage next to it. It's the Jacob's ladder. Oops. Toss that out there. Here's an old bleeding heart that has died back. Just cut that to the ground. Pull out some weeds. And then I'll cut this down. Convenient seat on the stone wall. Maple sticks. Wow. I'm gonna need a wheelbarrow soon for all this foliage. Oh, all right. That out of there. Use a little more of a trim. And I'll give this runner a clean up too. Just taking out the flowers, but leaving the leaves because those are still quite beautiful. I definitely need to put more of this in my garden. The leaves are just so pretty. There, that looks a little better. And then take these hosta flowers off. Oops, forgot a few in here. There, that looks a little better. Oops. Got that hosta flower. And then I'm going to get back in here and cut out all this stuff here. These are old hosta flowers. Okay. That looks a little better, I think. Got quite a few old hosta flower stalks up here, as well as a bunch of old foxglove stalks, this upper level here. So I'm just going to clean those up, a few down here, and then this propane tanks. This hosta needs to be, this hosta needs to be tidied up a little bit. So I'm just going to take care of that real quick here. And yeah, give the garden a little bit of a haircut. Whew, well, hello, Papa. So I've given the shade garden a bit of a trim and a weed, and Susie's come out to join me. Oh, she's hot too. We're both hot. It's not even 8 o'clock in the morning, and we're both just like, whew. So I've retreated to the shadiest part of the shade garden, and just sitting here for a moment before I go in. Yeah, so I had alluded to this in a previous video that I had a bit of an announcement, and it's probably not a big deal to most people, but to me it is somewhat significant. I've been dabbling on this YouTube channel for about a year, a little more, I think, than a year, and just dabbling, having fun with it, not really taking it too seriously, and putting out a video when I could. And, I've enjoyed it thoroughly. But part of the reason I haven't really taken it seriously is because I've been distracted with other things, good things, but other things that have taken me away from having the time to do more. And one of them is an off-farm part-time job at a plant nursery that I thoroughly enjoy and adore. But that took up a tremendous amount of time away from the farm, especially in spring, which is our busiest time. And over the last few weeks, I've come to the decision that I'm just going to focus on the farm and producing content to show you what we do here on the farm with the gardens, expanding the gardens, taking care of the vegetable garden, the chickens, all of that. There's so much more fun stuff to show you. And I just haven't had the time to do that because I've been pulled away on other things. And so that's the big deal. I'm going to focus on doing more content for this channel, growing it, sharing more stuff with you about how these gardens grow and develop, and the day-to-day stuff, which I think will be fun. I hope it'll be fun. I hope somebody will be interested. And I figure if I don't give it a try, then I'll never know. So so that's where I'm going with this. And I look forward to sharing a lot more of the little stuff, plant particulars, maybe get a little botany nerd on you, stuff like that, especially in like the vegetable garden, technical stuff. But I hope it'll be fun and interesting and inspirational and maybe a little educational. Who knows? But if you do like what I've shown you so far, and you haven't already, please do subscribe and maybe give a video a like if you find something that you enjoy, or comment. I really like comments because it tells me what you're thinking and gets me thinking. And I've had some really good comments thus far, and would like to interact more. So yeah, so that's it for today. I'm going to go in and get a cool drink and maybe do a little more work around here and then retreat for the day. We're supposed to be in the mid 90s, so it's definitely a thick-blooded New Englanders time to hide inside in the air conditioning. So I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.